Yeah, the cheap way out of like buying stuff, especially when
Yeah.
you didn't drive and couldn't get access to these things, is you just record it off the radio, then I just play it back a million times.
I used to have the dopest mixtapes on the playground.
People don't even know what mixtape means anymore. That's what a mixtape actually is. And then Napster came along, and we all got computer viruses and acted like we didn't know what happened.
Yeah, you'd have full albums downloading on LimeWire for like 3 days. You come back to it every day, and it's only like 10% more. Jax is older than us, so he probably used to make mixtapes on fucking Chisel 'em independent tablet.
Back then, what were they doing? They just remembered songs and just sang them back to each other.
Yeah, they were just singing hymns around the campfire.
It's like, oh no, I was the baritone in my acapella group. 2 girls for every boy.
Do, 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 do.
It's in Beach Boys acapella band. I'm convinced.
Before we start, can I just get a quick little me, 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 me?
You.
In your acapella group, what role did you play, Jax?
I missed that day at school. For me, it was the Big Bopper, from the 50s because I'm so old.
That's why we're asking about the acapella group.
Frankie Valli and shit.
I was thinking Beach Boys.
Oh, yeah. Fuck you.
Sights and sounds and edges found. You will now get down with the Underground. Posted up on the OTC Fantasy YouTube channel. Dynasty Underground is back in your life. I am Trav, hosting and West coasting. I forgot to intro myself last week, boys. I noticed as I went through the edit. And with me, of course, the wise man Jax Falcone, fresh off a productive night at the plant. He is fired up and ready to talk. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. Can't wait to hear what you guys have to say. I kind of got here a little late. There's usually some pre-show chatter. I'm a little bit behind, but that's all right. I'll catch up with you boys soon.
Yep, we got a little bit in, and we've got a lot of chatter to be done on this show. And of course, on the other side of me is one Joe Quavius Kuvetakis. How you doing tonight, brother?
Good. I mean, I don't know what we're going to talk about. Nothing weird happened in the last 24 hours or anything like that. But before we get into that, I would just like to say happy Gunner Helm Day to all who celebrate. March 11th is officially Gunner Helm Day. They said I was crazy. Well, guess what? Gunner Helm is the meme. Look at me. I'm the tight end now.
Yeah. Happy Helms Day to those who celebrate. Joe is leading the charge on that new national holiday. But we're here for it. We are absolutely here for it. Of course, subscribe to that YouTube channel. Really helps us out. Jax's show Undrafted is also on that channel. You can find it there weekly.
And more to come.
Yes, lots more to come. Yeah, we've got some stuff in the works with the boys. Actually, Jax, thank you. That's going to be very exciting. So stay tuned and make sure you subscribe. I think I'm supposed to say hit that little notification bell or something so you get notified whenever we go on. So check us out there. And the audio can be found on the Player Profiler Podcast Network, of course.
I just want to say this is the Underground. We will never tell you to smash that like button.
I know, right?
If anybody tells you to smash that like button, tell them to go fuck themselves, all right? Just listen.
Yeah.
Just listen. If it's good, just download it.
I'll smash the goddamn like button if I care to, all right, pal?
Yeah, exactly.
Don't tell me what to do.
This is beneath me to ask for your likes and your follows. Yeah. I don't care.
Matter of fact, just tell them don't even touch that goddamn like button.
Yeah. Only do it if you actually feel it. Right? No, don't do it because we told you to.
Touch it. And be
like, Jax, nope, it's good for the algo. They can definitely do it, Jax. It's good for the algo. They can definitely do it.
Whatever you do not push that button.
Yeah, don't do it.
Fuck you guys.
I dare you to press that button, as a matter of fact. Wimp.
Unsubscribe is what I would say.
Yeah, great. Yeah.
Go ahead. Miss out on all this great content. Unsubscribe.
Yeah. Good luck. Cutting all of that.
No way. Better not.
I would not.
That's why they're tuning in for this nonsense.
Speaking of nonsense, if you like what we do, keep track of what we're doing. That's all I'm trying to say. Before we get into this free agency stuff, because Joe, you alluded to some wacky shit happening, which we're going to get into. You and I actually made a trade, fella. we made a trade today. It was a fun one. I'm gonna let
I want
you.
to interrupt. I want to interrupt.
Yeah.
I had my doctor look at Terry McLaurin, and I'm sorry, but he didn't pass his physical, and we're not we're gonna rescind this trade. Sorry.
Oh, really? Okay. So what am I gonna do with all these other contracts that I just signed?
Yeah.
Why don't you take it away, Joe, since you were the one who sent the trade offer, and then I will come in after that.
Yeah, sure. I went pretty heavy. We had this startup last year, and I went pretty heavy productive struggle, acquire a bunch of draft picks, and get a bunch of young players. And like, I'm looking at my team this year, and I'm like, it might be a little bit early, but I really hate this second round pick that I've got here. It was like, I don't know, I want to say it was the 2.09 or something like that. And
Oh, wait.
so 2.08, excuse me, 2.08.
Am I in this league?
You're not in this league.
Okay,
No.
I've got Devin Neal, I've got the 2.08, and so I look over and Trav's got Travis Etienne. I'm like, okay. And this is a thing that I do, right? As soon as new running backs enter a room, I just try and toss the handcuff with a pick and try and get either a better pick or a player or something like that. Just offer the handcuff, right? If Neal got nuked, fine. Give him to the guy that wants him the most, right? Sell him to the guy that wants him the most. So I offer Trav, Devin Neal, and the 2.08 for one of my quintessential guys, Terry McLaurin. And Trav counters me, and he's like, all right, give me a 2027 third round pick. And I said, okay. You know what? Terry's a guy I'm going to be able to plug into my starting lineup.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of on the fringe of being a playoff team. And a guy like Terry can help me. And I don't care about this 2.08 this year. I probably will come draft day, but Devin Neal, I've got tons of first round picks. So I feel pretty good about it. And I don't think Devin's going to be a huge contributor. And I see Jax smirking because I feel like I probably have Terry McLaurin in every league that we're all in together because I love that man.
I just think we have a Nick Singleton all-pro rookie season coming in, and he'd be taken at the 2.09 in that league just to dunk all over you. You missed him by one spot.
Buddy, I got the 111.
Reach.
You have three. You have 3 first round picks.
Yeah. I'll be trading one of those back. Don't worry. Nick Singleton will probably find his way to many of my rosters.
Yeah. Joe's not letting him get to that 208 most likely. And
you guys made a trade. You guys are cute.
It was good. I was excited when I saw it come across, and I saw Neal in the second, and I see that the Neal nuking, right? I see that Travis Etienne's there. They might not be done in that backfield, but I also see a potential path for him to be a high-end handcuff.
Yeah,
also
sure.
double whammy on that player who wants him most too, Joe, because you know that I really like Devin Neal as a player too, so that worked in your favor. I was really hesitant on the 208, and that's why I added the 3, is because we've been talking about the fact that you kind of want to get out of that back half of the second round. And I also know, because we podcast together, that you were probably trying to get out of that later second and recoup some value because you don't want that area of the draft. And so I was pondering that, and I figure if we think about the 27 draft and this draft, that 27 third, I would say, is the equivalent of a second this year, potentially, with what we project as a deeper draft class last year. And so I think if I got like 226 seconds, we could call it, and Devin Neal for Terry McLaurin, who's aging on my roster, who is transitioning to youthful production, I think it was a nice little move on my part too. So I was happy to get that done, fella.
Yeah. The way I viewed it is I gave you 3 third round picks for Terry McLaurin, right? Who's an aging wide receiver who, for now is still the wide receiver 1 in Washington, but I viewed it as like, it's a second round pick, and Devin Neal, who was like a third round pick last year, probably a third round pick in most years, plus the 27 third, which is more valuable. It's like 3 fringe 2-3 turn guys.
Yeah.
It's kind of the way I viewed it.
I actually thought you might balk a little bit at that 27 third coming back, but I was stoked that we were able to make it happen.
Nah, I got enough draft capital, baby. I'm good.
That's why I threw it in there. Love it, man. It's nice to get some Dynasty trades off early in the
I love that Trav did the old squeeze. Good for you.
Yeah,
of course, always.
I almost squeezed them back. And I was like, you know what? I want Terry McLaurin.
I kind of expected one. And honestly, Jax, it's because I've been podcasting with you guys and we've been talking theory. And I think my theory game has accelerated definitely since that we've been working together. And seeing that 208 was behind where we want it in this draft, I knew there had to be a squeeze somewhere. I wasn't going to squeeze back another second because I realized that
That's too
Terry's
much.
aging.
Yeah.
And I also realized that like none of my assets could ever, like all three of my assets may never produce to the level that you might get out of these next 2 seasons from Terry.
Sure.
But with my youth, I was happy to kind of re-roll that with some picks. So it was good. It was fun.
Yeah. I love it.
Juices were flowing. Okay, boys, free agency has been kind of nuts. And the first thing that we're going to talk about when it comes to free agency is not actually that fantasy relevant, but it is Las Vegas Raiders relevant, Joe, and Baltimore Ravens relevant. Because the wool was pulled out from under, said Las Vegas Raiders, after the Baltimore Ravens agreed to a deal that would send 2 firsts to the Raiders for Max Crosby to come back. Some medical stuff, like Max Crosby has been injured. He was injured throughout the back half of the season, and we knew he wasn't necessarily going to be passing that physical. But then the Ravens came back and said he failed the physical, only to sign Trey Hendrickson the next morning. So it looks
13
like
hours later.
terrible.
13 hours later, overnight, they hashed out this deal. I'm sure they weren't talking about it ahead of
They
time.
were talking to him while he was in the building. They were talking to Trey Hendrickson while he was there.
It's like, if this happened in one of your fantasy leagues, like you'd probably have like a huge fight in your fantasy league over what happened, right? Like, this doesn't happen in fantasy league.
We've had him over less, boys. We've had him over less.
The equivalent
Jalen McMillan for Cortland Sutton.
Yeah, the equivalent in one of your fantasy leagues is like you're chatting and text messages, right? And then a trade gets accepted, and then the dude like won't actually hit the accept button on the website, right? That's like the equivalent to what would happen. And you're like, whoa, we had a deal, and now this guy backed out. Like, I don't know, that's kind of shady. And that's probably happened to a good number of us. And what do? You stop making trades to that person. You stop offering them anything, right? It's just like, nah, I'm not dealing with you anymore. But you can't convince me. And I know, obviously, I'm the most biased person here as it pertains to this, but I'm just gonna go ahead and say it's a bitch move by the Ravens, right? Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They're like, they saw that they could get Trey Hendrickson for cheaper, and they decided, you know what, we actually, and they saw that they were getting roasted on the internet for this trade, and they did a U-turn. And I'll say this: there's going to be no penalty, right? It's not like teams aren't going to go after their assets or anything. Like, I see people puffing their chest like, oh, we'll see how teams deal with the Ravens from now on. It's like, no, actually, they're still going to be able to transact just fine. They might just, be a little bit more careful, but it's a bitch move, right? That's like the Ravens. Like, I like literally just right after Saragusa died is like kind of like the time when I forgave Tony Saragusa for breaking Rich Gannon's collarbone on that cheap shot in the AFC Championship game in 2000. Many of you Zoomers won't remember that. So I already hated the Ravens, like, up till about like 4 years ago. I was like, all right, I'm ready to just let go and forgive Tony Saragusa for that clear cheap shot. And now they're just right at the bottom of the list again. Fuck the Ravens. I'll say that. I mean, sorry to the kids. We probably should give a disclaimer at the beginning of this episode that Joe's going to be swearing early.
That's okay. I already had a couple F-bombs too, brother. So
imagine that. I'm the one not swearing.
That is crazy. What's happening?
Sometimes I got to. I'm sorry. That's not acceptable. Not
totally
acceptable. No respect. No respect.
That's a rough deal. I mean, because you guys were already spending the first round picks. You're already like
all the money. We spent all the money.
It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
Yeah, I think so. To play just a tiny bit of devil's advocate, I think there is an element of like sharp business play on the Ravens' part, because technically they didn't break any rules because there was nothing fully signed, and he did fail the physical, so they are able to void the deal because in his injury
failed the physical from the injury that they knew about, that he's ahead of
schedule.
Bingo. Yes.
And so I saw on McAfee today, Dr. David Chow was on there and said that like most teams in this situation are going to say, we know you're failing the physical. We're going to project that you will pass that physical at some point. So it's all good. But the Ravens use that little window, which is like, and honestly, you cannot deny that the Ravens have been one of the best run organizations in the league over the last probably 20 years. So interesting move. Not saying that I like it. I think it is sleazebag shit to the fucking max.
Yeah. But they
No
did it.
pun intended. But yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy how it works. So shitty for Max Crosby, like throwing parties and shit like that, going on his podcast talking about the fact that he's moving to Baltimore and stuff like.
Unbelievable.
Ugh, that is shitty.
Yep. Oh well.
I guess that's the way she goes, boys. I guess that's the way she goes.
While we're on the Raiders, though, by the way, I thought the Linderbaum signing actually had a little bit of fantasy, relevance. Actually, we're not going to talk about a lot of other positions other than the skill positions, but that was the one that got me. I was like, you really want a center, especially for a young quarterback. Like if Mendoza ends up being the starter,
Mhm.
for him to call all the line stuff, for him to recognize everything. Now he just has someone who's like, no, I got this shit. Don't worry about it.
Totally.
Like, I got you. I got this.
Yeah.
So that goes a long way, as well as obviously being a good blocker.
I think we
Imagine
saw that for Caleb Williams this year, boys, getting those new O linemen, especially that center coming in, brought some things together.
Imagine getting another dope offensive lineman in at pick 14. That would have been pretty sweet.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
True that.
Rough.
Shenanigans.
I
I
don't
still
know.
don't think it's off the table that Crosby gets traded on draft day or something. Obviously, things are going to cool down a little bit.
Yeah.
He's going to get a month better, and the Cowboys or somebody is going to come calling. And maybe we don't get 2 first, but we get like the first and 2
Or
seconds.
the Eagles.
Like that.
I would take his ass on the Eagles any day of the week, boys. I also think, too, if he were to land back there, they've also made some other really nice defensive signings. And so if they could convince Max Crosby to come back to the Raiders in
He's
this
back,
new
baby.
regime, that looks pretty fucking nice for that defense.
I don't disagree. It's just, right now it's all about protecting Mendoza and making the offense work, and then we'll add the rest later, right? So it's just like the timeline. I was all excited. I think I was like joking with you guys last week. It's like, this is the most optimistic I've been about the Raiders in a long time. And then after the Crosby trade, it's just like, oh my God, this is perfect.
Isn't that
lineup.
amazing?
Yeah, and then like every year something weird happens to my team. Every single year there's one unbelievable story. Antonio Brown freezes his feet off. Something crazy happens.
He did. That's so
He absolutely did. Yeah. That notification coming across my phone saying that the Ravens backed out, I had to triple check that one. That was wild.
I was
so
mad.
good.
That was wild. Okay, boys. So we are going to talk about some of these fantasy relevant signings in just one sec, but we're just going to take a quick break before we do. We'll be right back. And we are back on Dynasty Underground, talking about free agency and the frenzy that it created amongst the fantasy landscape. Boys, there's only one that we can start with. There's
I was going to say,
only
you're
one.
probably going to start at the top. Start at the top and talk about Romeo Dubs, right? Or no?
No, I'm actually. We'll get to him. We'll get to him. Don't you worry.
Okay.
But just a touch above him on the pecking order, signing with the Kansas City Chiefs was one Kenneth Walker, 3 years up to $45 million. I've dogged on the running back situation for Kansas City for a couple of years. We know that, guys. But I think the difference now is that they have a guy who is a difference maker. I have some thoughts on what this is going to do for their offense, but Jax, I invite you to tell me your thoughts on the Kenneth Walker signing in Kansas City and what this does for his value in the dynasty streets.
Well, I look a whole lot smarter for telling everybody to go by Ken Walker last year during the season, and toward the end of the season, I was trying to offer low ball trades, 2 seconds and, super late first, the 112s and stuff like that. And that ship has sailed. I think I offered the 106 for Ken Walker and got turned down in a league. So now that price has gone way back up. And dude, I happen to think, and I've said this to you before, Trav, that the Kansas City running back is a productive player in the NFL. Sometimes it's 4 guys. It's Kareem Hunt, Pacheco, and whomever else, and they're all one amalgam of a player. If you put them all together, they'd be great. Well, in this case, it's basically going to be Ken Walker across the board. Maybe he'll lose some pass down work to somebody, whether it's Brashard Smith, I should say, or any other sort of pass catching guy. There'll be other players on the team, but I think this is the Ken Walker show. They run it when they're in close, and they tend to score a lot. Hopefully we'll see something of a bounce back with Kansas City, although, Mahomes coming off the ACL. But I think all of that sort of works itself out. and Ken Walker has a big season as a Kansas City Chief, especially in the touchdown department.
Yeah, I think touchdowns is going to be huge for me. He doesn't necessarily project as like a 90 target running back, but I think he'll get some targets in that offense as well. So
Heck yeah.
I think, whatever he doesn't get by way of targets, he can make up by way of big plays and touchdowns in that
Yeah.
offense. And so I think it's going to be really nice. I think, Joe, I'll kick it to you in one sec, but I might as well get my thought out here. I think there's going to be a big shift in this offense actually this year, especially with Patrick Mahomes' injury. I think they're going to go a lot more, maybe not run heavy, but they're going to skew more towards the run than they have. Looking at some numbers over the past 5 years, guys, they've been bottom 3 in rush rate overall for the last 5. They've been bottom 10 in rush rate for the last 5 on first down. That's going to change big time with Kenneth Walker. And they've been bottom 10 on rush rate inside the 10-yard line, in all 5 of those years. And so that's going to go up more. And they've still been scoring rushing touchdowns with their running backs, Jax,
Yeah.
right? Even with those low rush rates. So I think wheels are looking up. I am a little bit leery of what the price could potentially be in drafts. I think we're looking at 1-2 turn, probably in that like Saquon, Derrick Henry tier. That's getting up there for me, but I think the production outlook is there. You know what I mean? There could be holes to poke, but I think this is the best outlook the Chiefs backfield has had in a half decade.
Yeah, I would argue a lot longer than that. The appalling thing is the Chiefs have been, one of the top teams in pass rate over expected since Mahomes has been their quarterback. And why wouldn't they be, right? It's like, yeah, you got one of the 2 greatest quarterbacks of all time. Yeah, of course you're going to throw the ball a lot, right? He's super talented, what have you. You would think that would make their running game super efficient.
Right.
But it did not, right? They were actually near the bottom of the league in running efficiency the whole time they've had the best quarterback in the league. So it's mind-blowing actually the difference between those 2 things. And so if Ken Walker just gets them to like the mean, it's a deadly offense. And not only that, I mean, just think about like how many times Mahomes has had to bail them out.
Right.
Ken Walker's going to be able to do it with a couple of 50-yard runs this season. It's just like, okay, there's 3 wins, right? Like it's just silly on this offense. And it's kind of crazy how bad they've been at running the ball with the best quarterback in the NFL. So like, will they lean more run heavy? I don't know that they will. I think they're still going to be one of the league leaders in pass rate over expected when Mahomes is in there. What I expect is a lot more efficiency when they do run the ball and a lot more big plays when they do run the ball. And that equates to, I don't know, it's just a monster team. They're going to be back in the Super Bowl. Who are we kidding?
Yep. Offensive coordinator change obviously could, hopefully regain some of the efficiency they had, before, right? So that could also sort of rebound there as they were a little less efficient under the previous OC.
Mm-hmm. And I believe that would be Matt Nagy, who is now the OC in New York, which we will get there as well.
Mm-hmm.
We will get there.
Lucky them.
Signing in his home state of New Orleans for 4 years at $52 million per.
Not
Travis,
per.
No, not per.
Also, Louisiana, not New Orleans, if we're correct.
Right.
Right. Sorry. Yeah. I'm Canadian. Give me a pass on that.
Yeah, it's close enough.
52 million per. I do not get a pass on though, because that's quarterback money and running backs do not make that.
That part I can't. Yeah. Make sure people
talking about Travis Etienne. Kind of just a win overall for him because he's had a pretty up and down road, and to get this big contract is like a huge win for him as a running back who has had injury issues. I think it's going to be interesting to see what it looks like with Kellen Moore. We know that he's put up really good. He was a part of that big Saquon year with the Eagles before he went to New Orleans, and now he's trying to build his team. And so I think this is a good addition for them. Versatile running back in Travis Etienne. Joe, I ask you, is this an upgrade or a downgrade from what we've seen from him in Jacksonville?
I don't know. That's hard to say. I will say this. New Orleans' offense is pretty damn fun right now with Kellen Moore and like the play calling rate that if they call the number of plays that we've grown accustomed to in a Kellen Moore offense, then I have to say it's a better situation for Etienne for that
Agree.
purpose alone. You add the fact that like Kamara's probably out. I don't know. I think we're going to see him in the passing game. I think we're going to see him in the running game. I think it's going to be a pretty good offense in a division that's full of bad defenses. So overall, Arrow is up for Etienne. Is my take. I kind of want to talk about the second orders of business, but I'll let you go, Jax, on this signing first.
I see where your
I know what
second
you
order of
mean.
business.
Yeah.
This is the primary order of business when you saw Travis Etienne go, but we'll get there. I do think it's probably arrow up. Can Tyler Shugg keep them at a 500 team? Basically pace them towards an 7, 8, 9, 10 win season. Like if you're kind of heading in that direction and playoff hopes are alive, and the offense is league average or something, I think that's all great, and that would be a success from our position, right? Because I mean, Tyler Shugg, second round pick, 26-year-old rookie, whatever it was, and all of a sudden he looked really, really good, in his rookie season. I mean, a whole lot better than I could have ever imagined, and I think probably better than New Orleans even fathomed. So they might have a winner there. That'd be fucking cool, right? And so if that's true, then arrow up everywhere. If not, if he sort of has this sophomore slump, this sort of idea that, oh, okay, now that they got a book on him, now that the defenses have figured him out, things of that nature, they're able to slow him down. Well, then that all kind of changes, because you need to have a quarterback to have the running back have any viability. It's probably the reason that we're all kind of terrified now of Breece Hall. I said the worst thing that could happen to Breece was staying in New York, and there he is. So that's a problem, but that did not happen to Travis Etienne. Gets a big contract. I think it's fine. And then of course all of the Joe Kuvetakis, Joe Quavius wheels are up for the wallflower left at the dance, Bashal Tutin. And by the way, I was busy coming up to the thing. I got here, but before I did, I noticed that there were people on Twitter thinking that Chris Rodriguez is a problem for Bashal Tutin. I'm like, bro, have you been alive for like a minute? This is not a thing. Everybody has, I always say what team is going to have one running back? Zero of them. They're all going to have somebody. So if you could pick
Those
one,
were all trolls.
Chris
They
Rodriguez,
had to all
of
be
course,
trolls.
I know, but I mean, you couldn't ask for a better, person to be, competing. He's, league average at best.
Yeah,
So
4 carries per game. That's
what
all
are we
he
talking
needs.
about? This is great for Bashal too. It's actually the best possible thing. And
Yeah,
Joe,
that was actually, as soon as I saw the Chris Rodriguez signing,
It's a
all I
celebration.
tweeted was perfect. That's
Of
exactly.
course, it
That's
could have been Rashad
exactly.
White.
Yeah, I know. I was actually kind of worried it was Rashad White.
Absolutely, that's a more of a 50-50 split. Chris
Oh, yeah.
Rodriguez ain't stealing
Cohen
that.
guy too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And honestly, so last year they kind of had Bashal Tutin playing like the short yardage role, which is not his game. I think that was very deliberate by the Jacksonville coaching staff, right? Just like, hey, we want you to learn how to run between tackles in the NFL a little bit. We know you're the big play guy, right?
Yeah.
But they actually kind of had him be a little bit of the grinder last year just to weather him a little bit and get him ready for, what to expect in the NFL. But yeah, no, I want Rodriguez to be that guy. And, we're going to lose a few catches to LaQuint Allen. We're not going to lose any of Chris Rodriguez. The wheels couldn't be any more up. So
yeah, what else do you want,
it's a beautiful situation. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, we just talked about Seattle, and I kind of want to talk about the second order effects on all these signings.
Yeah.
Right.
Sharbs.
In Seattle, I mean, there's Charbonnet
Kalani
coming off an ACL injury in the playoffs, so we don't even know if we're going to see him. Right now, Kalani's still the only dude there. You mentioned, Jax, Rashad White. That seems like the most logical landing spot for Rashad White.
That would be a great spot for him.
Or, I don't know, Sean Tucker, right? Somebody else.
He just got tendered. He just got tendered by the Bucks.
Oh, he did?
Oh, they tendered him.
The $3.5 million or whatever it was? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting.
Oh, that actually
Smart.
That actually kind of breaks my heart, but it was kind of weird that they hadn't done it already.
I was gonna say, right, that was so weird that they were like, yeah, $3 million for a guy who's good. No, we don't want
Yeah,
that.
exactly. Okay. Well, that's a good piece of information. So now, yeah, I mean, Halani talking about second order effects. It's like if you added him to the back of your roster towards the end of last year and at any point last year, it's like, listen, this guy's probably in a, I don't know, 50-50, 40-60 timeshare at the beginning of the season at worst. I don't know who they're going to
He
bring in
was
at this stage.
trusted, Joe. He was
Yeah, in the
trusted.
playoffs, they were
Yes.
throwing him the ball.
Yeah, like I
Didn't
was
go
listening to
well, but
Bill Simmons, and he's like, they had this other guy in there. Like, people don't need to know who he is. Nobody knows who he is, like the mainstream or whatever. But I was like, yeah, that's George Halani, Mr. Simmons. I'm like, thinking to myself, like, I know all about this motherfucker, but it's true. Like a lot of the mainstream was like, had no clue who George Halani is. But the fact of the matter is they showed trust in him enough to play him. And now with Ken Walker gone and Sharps shelved, boy, oh boy, he could actually work his way on to the field for meaningful snaps and therefore playable starts to start the 26th season. No doubt. That's
I'm now at the
possible.
point where I'm counting on him in a couple of leagues, and I thought that was like a pipe dream
Yeah.
before, and I'm like, oh, maybe I don't have to touch this position, right? But so it's like Tootin, Halani, RJ Harvey, and obviously Gunnar Helm feel like the biggest winners just by like addition by subtraction, right?
Well, Dobbins is back in Denver. I think that's probably the best you could have hoped for
Yeah,
RJ
no, that's
Harvey.
fine.
But
That's fine.
to my point that I made about RJ Harvey, and as much as I love him, I still think he's a B back. I mean, that's
Sure.
just I think that's what he is.
So I will refer the listeners to last week's Sione Vaki conversation for my stance on George Halani. I think it is still March, and there will be more than one person added to that backfield. I also think the trust factor, that backfield was mega depleted once Sharps went down. And so
Sure,
Kenneth
absolutely.
Walker was going to be gassed if they didn't get somebody in there. So
There's no sure thing that Halani is something. I will say this though, Trav, when it comes to the draft, we've been talking. There isn't an earth
True.
mover like almost anybody. I mean, Jadarian Price would be the most realistic guy they could get.
I
Who
think
is
it's going to be like an ugly one, like a Kareem Hunt veteran who just is trusty and gets
sure.
those snaps. You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
think it's going to
that's
be
certainly
ugly.
possible. It's anything is possible, right? But
I'd,
Anything is possible.
But it's also possible that they're like at the end of it when the dust settles, they're like, actually, we like him the best.
Yeah,
You
fair
could
enough.
even bring in a Jadarian Price is where I was going, who's like a Ken Walker sort of, you know,
wannabe, yeah.
squinting if you see him. And so they could want to bring him in, but that could be a Caleb Johnson situation where they're like, nope, he's not good. You don't know. Like when we saw Caleb Johnson get drafted to Pittsburgh, like, oh, that's tough for, Jalen Warren. No, it wasn't, so
No.
we tend to think we know everything. That's the point is that, yes, you're absolutely right. He could get absolutely squashed and it could be over. They could draft 2 running backs and then release them. Like that's also, of course, possible. I get all that. But the way that it looks now and the way that he actually performed very well too, like he looks pretty good out there. He's not bad, man. So, I know there's a Halani Hive, which is a great word. I think that'd be a great band name, the Halani Hive. But led by Ryan Loesch, Rhinos, he loves the dude. But so yeah, there's guys out there that really, really like the way this kid plays. So it's possible.
This one was interesting. Kind of caught me a little off guard because it's going to be weird to see. Mike Evans is now a San Francisco 49er. He signed on a 3-year deal, which is some good term for a guy of his tenure. Like, does this kind of like reopen a sell window for Mike Evans to sell him to a contending win now team, guys? Or what are we doing? What's the biggest takeaway from this move with Mike Evans going to San Francisco? Because I think the landing spot breeds production for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like if you can get a 27 first from Mike Evans, do it. If you're getting a late 26 first, I would say probably don't, right? Like the production is going to outweigh that, in my opinion. Mike Evans seems like exactly the kind of guy that Purdy has needed his whole career. Purdy is miscast by public perception as this like game manager, and he's not. he's a huge risk taker. He's a gambler. Like, he throws with the anticipation, and like, you get a few what the fuck was that throws by Brock Purdy a season. I would say maybe one per game, right? But like, Evans is the kind of guy that can forgive Purdy's sins, like the overthrows or whatever it may be. Like, it kind of feels like the perfect fit for the quarterback. If anything, I kind of feel like this is like a buy signal for Brock Purdy. I think his efficiency is already off the charts, and I think it's going to be even more so with a Mike Evans. So I actually think it's like wheels up for Purdy for as long as Evans is on this team, and his hamstrings are functioning by that electromagnetic lab next to their training facility. But I don't know. Evans, I feel like is going to fit right in on this team. It's not your typical Mike Shanahan receiver for sure, but I think it's definitely a Brock Purdy match.
Whatever's happening in that substation, they need like a second substation, like two ends of the magnet.
Yeah,
kind of, you know what I mean? Like there's a
cancel it out.
Cancel out substation, so that like it's like perfect, and you can never get hurt inside between the two. Like substation on one side,
put one on the other side of the practice facility.
Whatever the science would say, do one of those, right? And then, but this is team substation for sure. Christian McCaffrey, old. George Kittle coming off a huge injury.
All the wide receivers,
including Mike Evans, who constantly is, nursing a hamstring injury. I don't want to see anybody get hurt. You know me, I hate injuries, but this is a team that, it's literally a substation, like that's kind of crazy. And they're all old and oft injured. So Trent Williams or whatever, like he's like 48 years old and still the most badass dude in the NFL. But, this is going to be a very fragile, awesome team.
Yeah, and that's why I thought it was kind of weird, because you would think that they would want to go into a season with a little bit more stability among the position that has been so unstable for them for the last few seasons. And, we got head case Brandon Ayuk out here street racing around the stadium and shit. And who knows what's going to happen with Ricky Pearsall as his career progresses. Juwan Jennings is a free agent. And so, bringing in a very fickle Mike Williams seems like
Mike Evans. You said Mike Williams. That's great.
Mike Williams. Jeez.
That's great.
I'm slipping tonight, but bringing in a often injured Mike Evans kind of feels like they're putting their chips in the wrong place. But who knows? They're probably still going to add more at some point.
There's light guarantees. I think it's only, I don't remember. It was like 20 or something like that guaranteed. It wasn't a ton of guaranteed money. So at the end of the day, I think they're able to, it's basically a 1 year, I think, so I think they're fine. This doesn't hamstring them, but it does, pardon the pun, but it does give them, a legit alpha out there. Like you say, Joe, I think this is absolutely true. So, in terms of buying Mike Evans, I think it's a sell. There's a few spots where I sold Mike Evans toward the end of last year, and now I'm like, I'd love to have him back, and a few spots where I have him where I'm like, I got another year of production here. This is great, because you never know when the ride ends. Like, you just don't know. All of a sudden they're like, oh, Mike Evans retired. You're like, fuck, I still had him, totally. Juju Smith-Schuster, kid's like 27 somehow and he's done. It's like you just never know exactly when this all ends for various players. So Mike Evans, you still get to ride for a little bit longer, probably a year or two.
Yeah, for sure. It's kind of like that Devontae Adams arc, like what he did going to the Rams there.
Absolutely.
Okay, there's some juice coming up here, boys. Miami very predictably signed Malik Willis for 3 years at 67.5. We've talked a bunch of Malik Willis guys. Jax, I know you've talked to Malik Willis on the undrafted as well. Not a bad skill group around him in Miami if we think about Etienne and Waddle. New coaching staff, though. We don't necessarily know what the offense is going to look like. We still like him for fantasy, though, obviously, right, boys?
Yeah, this feels a little like the Justin Fields situation last year, where I would have liked to have seen Malik Willis go someplace else with maybe a little bit more stability, although that place probably didn't exist because those places all were, strapped with quarterbacks. But like maybe even like an Atlanta situation or something would have been fucking dope, So there were some spots where you could have imagined the nuts. I would say Arizona would have even been a better spot. More weapons, Trey McBride. Like I like that a little bit better. Miami's a dumpster fire. They're paying $99 million to not have Tua. They are hamstrung. They can't really do much. They don't have a good offensive. Like they have a coach who's unproven. Like there's a lot of questions here, and that makes me really nervous about. We always talk about evaluating these quarterbacks in two ways: NFL and then fantasy. Fantasy, I'm not worried about Malik Willis. He's going to score fantasy points as long as he plays. What I'm concerned about is the football side of this and exactly what happens here this year. It could go bad quick.
Mm-hmm. And I think, Jax, where that impacts fantasy is kind of my take on fading Malik Willis is that I think the NFL side of things is going to make it so that he doesn't have any longevity.
Of course.
You know what I mean? Right. So that's the big risk there. And I'm still on that hill, despite the fact that he's probably going to crush some fantasy leagues this year for sure.
Yeah, you guys hit on exactly my points, which is he's probably going to be a QB1 in fantasy over the course of this season, but the
points per game.
Yeah, but the situation is such that his longevity as a starter is now very much in doubt. He got a very similar deal to Justin Fields' deal. I mean, it feels eerily reminiscent of, the dumpster fire. And I will say, I think Willis is a better passer than Fields is.
And
I actually would say that he's a better runner than Fields is as well. I don't think that there's many guys at his level. Yeah, I mean,
it's close. It's close enough. I wouldn't mince it, but yeah, I mean, both are amazing. The point of the matter is that he's going to have to really be good. It's like
that offensive line is a problem. The offensive line is a problem. Bobby Slowick is his offensive coordinator. He just took CJ Stroud's promising rookie year and produced what happened to the trajectory of this QB1 overall? He just became bottom half of the league QB.
Yeah.
So that's the offensive coordinator now. What I will say is, God, I'm blanking on the Packers' former defensive coordinator, who's now Miami's
Jeff Hafley.
Yes, thank you. Jeff Hafley obviously is familiar with Malik's game, watched him play this whole time, and was like, that's the guy I want. I see what he does to, my, second team out here.
Yeah.
So I think that there's some value in that and some signal in that, but I'm worried about the overall situation. I'm worried about Bobby Slowick, and maybe CJ Stroud's not that good and Bobby Slowick and maybe their offensive line wasn't that good and Bobby Slowick was like the the scapegoat in that situation. But I tend to think he's kind of Timu Shanahan McVay tree offense coordinator that is still related enough to that tree to get another shot, but is not actually going to be a difference maker. So we're really going to be just banking on the fact that Malik Willis needs to be good. And there's not a big enough sample size to feel a lot of faith in that. As Jack said, Arizona was the dream landing spot. We said, I think last week, if he lands on the Jets or on the Dolphins, I'm going to be a little bit concerned. And here we are. I'm concerned in the leagues I have him. I'm going to play him till the wheels fall off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You have to.
Yeah.
You have to.
I mean, if you can afford to sell him, then great. You know what I mean? If he's like your third, fourth, fifth, starting quarterback, and you feel like you can get a first, I would say go ahead and do that. That's a smart move. I've got him in a few spots. I've tried to get him from you, Joe. I think I've also
you didn't offer a first.
No, I didn't. I didn't. I offered the 202 plus stuff. Just whatever it was. I don't even remember. Whatever. Just, stuff, 202 plus, it's worth more. He's worth more than the 202. So you get 202 plus some.
I will say, as soon as he signed with Miami, I went to Sleeper and went and looked at that trade, and it had been rescinded.
Sure had. I mean,
so Jackson was quick to pull the
one other thing. Yeah. One other thing too, you talk about the secondary sort of, downhill, ramifications. Look, Jacoby Brissett now.
Mm.
Is that what we're talking about here in Arizona with Marvin Harrison Jr., Michael Wilson, Trey McBride, and a lot of defensive points given up on the other side where they're just slanging it. Is that what we're doing here? This is
plug
like
and play
this,
Superflex QB2 right there.
dude.
Can I drop another trade on you guys that I did?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so I'm in another league where I did similar to the league that Trav and I were talking about, where I just went productive struggle year one. I acquired 6 first-round picks throughout the startup, right? Over the course of the season, I traded 2 of those to obtain Malik Neighbors. I was still sitting there on 4 first-round picks. I traded the 111 and the 212 yesterday to get Jacoby Brissett and Kirk Cousins. And my thinking is this, right? I have Dart, and I also have JJ McCarthy, which is not working out, obviously.
No,
I've got the 101 and the 103 from all the picks that I acquired, and then I've also got Bo Nix. So I've got 2 starters, but I'm like, I need a third quarterback, but I don't want to use one of those first 3 picks on Mendoza. I'd rather get the running back and the wide receiver and handle quarterback some other way. So I traded the 111 and the 212 for 2 guys that I think are basically going to be starters next year. I feel like I maybe overpaid slightly, but like with Love and with Lemon, I feel like my team's immediately a contender this year. So that's why I did it. I was like, I don't want to have to worry about a quarterback in this draft.
What's the one whatever and
111
the 2
and then
what's the
212?
111 and 212 going to get you in this year's draft?
Exactly
You know
why I
what
did the
mean?
trade. I don't
Not
know.
much.
Yeah.
So I think that was a
Denzel
nice trade.
Boston, and I mean, here's the thing: is that maybe in some leagues, Omar Cooper finds his way to the 111. That like
I still got the 107 too, by the way.
But there's going to be. I guess my point is this is fair to mention right now because I've been thinking the same way. Like I make my top whatever, and I look at the top. There's the top 5 thing, and then there's the, Kenyon Sadiq and Stowers, Concepcion and Cooper. That's 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so you go, well, anything after the 9, I'm fine. No, it's not, because you have Boston and Jadarian Price, and maybe you don't want those guys, but they go in the 6, 7, 8 spots, pushing the thing down to you that you thought you weren't going to be able to get with the 1, 10, 11, 12. So you may have overpaid, but at the same time, that's an interesting trade. I don't know if I have the balls to pull that one off.
I've already kind of concluded that. So with that 107, I'm probably taking a tight end, or I'm trading down 2 slots to take a tight end, depending on what happens. My regret that I've felt about this trade since I made it is that I was thinking to myself, like, maybe I could have turned that 111 into a first next year, right? And maybe I pulled the trigger too early. But my thinking was, like, if I get 2 quarterbacks, like the amalgam, to use a Jax term from in this show, of Brissett and Cousins is probably going to suffice for my QB3 because I don't have one right now. Yeah. And I can focus on these skill position groups where that's what's going to make my team a contender.
It's not crazy. And I think actually in a lot of, if things kind of pan out, like Jacoby Brissett could be like a top 8 quarterback in the NFL this year. Like he might be your quarterback 1 if you're not careful here. You're like, whoa, shit, dude. It's pretty crazy. So it's definitely possible.
Felt like a slight overpay. Overpay, but
if you win the league, it won't be a slight overpay.
Yeah, exactly. I actually messaged, shout out Sean Bannister. It was one of his leagues, and the trade was with him. I told him, I was like, one of these dudes is going to win me a championship.
Probably Kirk Cousins. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Daniel Jones re-signed with Indianapolis. 2 years, $88 million for Danny Dimes, boys. I think we've been saying that this was the best case Ontario for him all along. We kind of know what we're getting into now with him. He does have that injury that he's coming off of, tore his Achilles late in the season, so that recovery is going to be a little bit dicey to enter the season. But I think, like, are we looking at like borderline quarterback 1 if healthy type deal like we were last year, boys? Or do we think it's more wheels off Danny Dimes, or is it wheels on, considering that he's maybe a little bit more system isolated in Indianapolis?
I just want to go on record and say that Brian Murphy and Andrew Kessler are the best agents in football. They have gotten Daniel Jones so many years of $45 million. It is insane. Nobody has made more money without deserving it than Daniel Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Those are great agents. So shout out to them. I think it's a good scenario for Daniel Jones, and I think it's a good scenario for the Colts. Obviously, they had something that was working last year, so I don't have a problem with it. I mean, he's injury prone, and that's like kind of the thing that's going to be the Achilles heel, no pun intended, for the Colts. Is that he's injury prone. There's always something wrong with the dude, but he got the offense and it was looking great. They were 9-3. What was it? When did he get hurt?
Something like that.
Yeah,
I think
I'm sorry. They were
8-2.
like 8-1, something
8-2,
crazy
yeah,
for
something
9
like that.
weeks. Is crazy. So I'm not expecting those kind of results, but I think they're a fringe playoff team with Danny Dimes at the helm, assuming he is. And with the recovery rate on Achilles injuries these days, I think he will be probably pretty quickly.
It's so like the loser Indianapolis Colts to start to make brash, aggressive decisions based on an 8-game sample with a backup journeyman quarterback. Eat it, Colts. You guys suck. I'm speaking for Gronk and Edelman and all other Patriots and Patriots fans when I tell the Indianapolis Colts to eat all of it.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll get a lot of listener backing there, Pats fan.
Anyway, I was petrified that the Pats were going to go out and spend $120 million on Marquez Valdez-Scantling with hands, and they didn't. They didn't do that. Thank you.
Oh,
this is
man.
my best stuff. This is what I've got to offer the people. Hopefully they enjoy this.
Marcus Valdez-Scantling with the hand sounds pretty good, honestly.
That's pretty good. That's a pretty good fucking player.
He's like
yeah.
Alec Pierce. It's really good. Like,
maybe we'll go there because they also re-signed Alec Pierce, which is something that we said was also best case Ontario for him. And I think that's good because we talked about how
I'm not so sure about that.
Well, we kind of talked about it. I thought it might be because we talked about how some team is going to miscast him as an alpha.
Whoever paid him $30 million a year was going to do that.
For sure. And the Colts kind of can shift towards that, especially with Michael Pittman's departure to Pittsburgh. But I don't think he's necessarily that guy. And I think there's going to be like a little bit more spread. There's Tyler Warren there. There's Josh Downs there. So I don't know. I feel like at least we know what he's going to do in that offense, as opposed to him going to some random offense and looking like, their target hog. But
almost
$100 million locked up in Daniel Jones and Alec Pierce when other teams for that money have Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase probably wasn't the right move, but that's just me.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably right. I will say other teams allegedly were offering Alec Pierce more, and he took the hometown discount, wanting to stay in Indy.
To become the 8th highest paid wide receiver in the league after catching 3 balls per game last year.
I know. It's crazy. But
it's unreal.
To Trav's point, though, with the Michael Pittman departure, I mean, just talking about second order effects, I think that this is pretty bullish for Warren and Downs because I don't think that Alec Pierce is the target earner that Michael Pittman is, but I do think he serves a real purpose on a real NFL team.
Yes.
And I think that it's going to open things up for these dudes. Like, it's almost like the Jameson Williams on the Lions situation, right? Where it's like, great, now Sam Laporta and Amon-Ra St. Brown can eat. Obviously, it's not the same level of players, but yeah. So I kind of think it works, but it feels fragile. It feels really, really fragile what the Colts are doing, especially after trading 2 first-round picks for a cornerback last year.
For a middling quarter. I was going to get there, too, because that was the dumbest thing I'd ever heard of, too. I mean, they had good corner play. They traded for like a good corner 2 first. Like, that's a lot of capital. And now, boy, they'd love to have those first back. I know it.
I'm sure. So now they're just like, oh, well, let's hope this thing that was working continues to work and we can paper mache over these gigantic
what could go wrong?
Changing mistakes that we made mismanaged.
Now that the league's not paying as much attention, I would advise the fail-safe way for them to win every game would be to lessen the amount of PSI in each ball by about 0.1. Because I'm told that is like cheating like no other. And I don't think anybody would notice, and they'd be able to just roll to the Super Bowl with that less air in the ball. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Maybe even with Riley Leonard at the helm, you never
It
know.
doesn't matter. It's just that less air, man. It's
Yeah,
important.
totally.
It's important.
And on that note, we're going to take one more break before we get into the rest of these signings, and we'll be back after this. Okay. And we are back on Dynasty Underground, finishing off some of these free agent signings and what they mean for the Dynasty landscape. Boys, we're trying to get a tidy hour in today, so we're going to go a little quicker on these last ones. So get your take in, shut your mouth, and let's move on, right, fellas?
Yes, sir.
And I meant that in the most loving way that I could possibly tell you to shut your mouth.
Felt good. It felt good.
Yeah. So Tua signs in Atlanta. Coming out of the break with a hot one, of course, here, Tua. I think it's an interesting signing. I think there's like some sense to be made in the fact that it's another left-handed quarterback. So there's going to be some continuity for the pass. This is like ultra meta on this. Obviously, not the only reason they signed Tua, but you hear it all the time. Catching from a left-handed quarterback is a lot different. And so there's some continuity in that. But yeah, I mean, he's signing on like the vet's minimum deal. He's still making hella bank from Miami, so he's not too worried about cash flow. I think we have other worries with Tua, though. What are you saying, Joe?
Mr. Rapid Fire over here is
shut up.
Extrapolating.
I told you we can't do it. Like we are not capable.
Okay, all right. Here's my advice: trade Tua right now to the Michael Penix owner. Next.
Okay,
it's good.
Jax Rashid Shaheed in Seattle, 3 years, 51. I'm a little bit like cautious on this landing spot. I don't know if I really like it.
This was brutal because like I'm a Patriots fan. I wanted to see us get Rashid Shaheed. I thought he's just this like multifaceted player that, dude, we do like this, we do the deep dive and the advanced analytics. Didn't he look like kind of a sneaky, like actually good wide receiver,
100%.
With the underlying analytics? And then, he goes to Seattle and it just all kind of dissipates because they throw the ball 12 times a game and they all go to JSN. And I don't know how that improves next year unless Cooper Kupp takes a back seat and he's really not a full-time player. And you see sort of this JSN, Rashid Shaheed, 2 wide receiver, even if they're playing 2 tight end, whatever the case is, you're seeing Shaheed on the field almost all the time. But unless that happens, I am terrified and probably pessimistic about Rashid Shaheed.
Yeah, more helpful in real life than in fantasy on this
He's
team.
so dope.
Torrey Horton is probably host. Next.
Yeah, yep. For sure. I just do not see a world where he coexists alongside JSN. Don't know a ton about this.
I'm cutting him in FFPC leagues because we have to cut our roster down to 16.
Yeah, that sucks.
No, I'm cutting Shaheed in FFPC leagues.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
We have to cut our rosters down to 16 by I don't know, a couple weeks from now, and it's just like I don't see I don't think he's worth keeping. I'd rather roll the dice with my draft capital.
Yeah, that one was a sad story, boys. Or even like with Clint Kubiak in Vegas would have been kind of cool as well.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, there you go. He could have played.
Jax, here it is. Romeo Doubs, 4 years and a 70 burger from your New England Patriots. How are you feeling about this signing as a Patriots fan? Because Doubs has been much better than anyone on the planet Earth has given him credit for in his entire life.
Maybe they heard the show last year where going into the season, remember me, not the Doubs fan, said, I think Doubs is the value on this Packer roster at the wide receiver position. And that was kind of right. It wasn't Golden. It wasn't Jaden Reed. It probably was actually Christian Watson, obviously. But Doubs did return value. Yeah. I think he's okay. I think when you say 4 years, 70, it sounds like a lot, and it is kind of a lot, but it's under $20 million a year. And I think there's a way for them to get out of it after a year or two. He's not an old player. I think he'll be fine. I didn't love it. I'm not like, oh, yay, we got Josh Dobbs, but I do think that Romeo, I said Josh Dobbs. That's awesome. That's so cool. Romeo Doubs So yeah, I think we do have Josh Dobbs too, by the way. We have them both. So
Yep.
we got the fucking corner.
You nailed it. Yep.
Yeah, we've got them both. But in any event, yeah, I think it's just it's fine. I mean, the thing with New England is they still don't have that alpha. They weren't going to get it in Alec Pierce. They aren't getting it in Romeo Dubs. I guess that's probably better money spent on Dubs than Pierce. I don't know. It's a kind of an irrelevant move. I'm not too excited about anything wide receiver related in New England yet. And that's kind of weird because you do have a pretty prolific passer. So we'll have to see how this all shakes out. They're not done. They could draft a first round wide receiver. The Casey Concepcion, Omar Cooper, Denzel Boston types are slated to be potentially one of them available at that late 31 pick. It's possible they could push the button on a wide receiver there. They're also still in the works for AJ Brown potentially. I don't think that'll happen though.
No, 4 years and 70 on Dobbs means they probably can't afford that much more money at the wide receiver position, I don't think.
Yeah, if only I could think of a situation where a quarterback in New England had a bunch of subpar wide receivers to work with, but it's never happened before.
Nope,
never seen it. Never seen it.
Yeah,
this one I hated.
Well, hold on. It's Christian Watson season. Let's not forget that.
Yeah.
Second order effects. It's Christian Watson season. Don't fall for the Matthew Golden trap. Jaden Reed is probably the next beneficiary, and we'll see what's going on in the tight end room at the beginning of the year, but ultimately it's Christian Watson season.
Yeah, it's
hopefully you just get more than 6 games out of Christian Watson, because that's the whole thing with him. Yeah. Another one that I did not like, boys, Tyler Algier, 2 years, 12.25 with the Arizona Cardinals, who had previously restructured James Conner. I'm still not ready to throw out Trey Benson, boys, but I think this sucks for all involved, to be honest with you. Because Tyler Algier is fucking good, is why I think it sucks for all involved.
I think it comes down to, Trav, they couldn't depend on Trey Benson. Like, if you're general manager, coach, whatever the case is, you can't be like, fucking Trey Benson, lock it in. Mm-hmm. You can't say that with a straight face because it hasn't ever happened. And he hasn't been available. I always say availability is an ability. And in the NFL, it really, really is. I mean, maybe it's unfair. He got unlucky. It's like, whatever. He wasn't available in the past. We can't bank on him being available in the future. Tyler Algier has been available. He's been fucking rock solid. So if you're saying, hey, we've got Tyler Algier, we're going to give him the ball so many times, you're like, yeah, that ought to work. It's just whether Trey Benson is a more prolific player than Algier. Totally. I think it's almost unquestioned that in the, peak Benson is better than peak Algier, but that's not what they're betting on. They're betting on floor. Algier is better than floor Benson, who's unavailable.
Yeah, and Algier, I think my hatred might speak more to them bringing back Connor than Algier. Because if it was Algier Benson, I'm kind of happy with that. But Connor fucks it all up. Sorry,
I think they were signing Algier no matter what, and then James Conner just agreed to like this reduced contract. But Algier is basically like younger version of James Conner, right? James Conner's nickname is the Terminator. Algier is like the T-1000, right? It's the same. It's the same player. It's the same dude, just 5 years younger and going to do the same thing. And we'll see what happens with Benson. But I think Algier is the RB1 on this team, and we'll see. Mm-hmm. What happened. Connor's there for moral support and
again,
leadership.
Almost every time we talk about this, Joe, we say there's not any running backs in this draft that can come in and really change this the hierarchy. So yeah, Algier. I mean, I had a few teams where I had Algier, and he was playable here and there. Like, you could flex him potentially if you were desperate last year. Hopefully he'll get that touchdown this week. But now he's a startable RB2. And so if you woke up and some of your dynasty teams, or if you're a one dynasty team player, you have Algier, you're like, this is good. It's like, if you had a Holani, Algier, there's a couple others, but you could have woken up and all of a sudden had some value. Bashal Tutin, right? Your team could have made some fake money.
1,000 yards, 6 to 9 touchdowns, 5 catches.
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah, right.
He's got like 200 carries coming his way for sure. I think
they're going to score touchdowns though, Joe. He might have like 20 touchdowns.
With Jake Brisket at the helm, fucking rights there.
Bro, that team scores some garbage time.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Oh yes, this one is very interesting, and I think this kind of feeds into My biggest takeaway from this show is that kind of the residual impacts are what we're taking away from these moves more so than the moves themselves.
Yeah.
And the residual impacts to Isaiah Likely signing with the New York Giants were not only just devastating for you, Joe. Like, I have taken up the Theo Johnson mantle with you a little bit. Yeah, pour it out, fella, because Isaiah Likely kind of shit in Theo Johnson's bed. And I think my take is that I don't necessarily love it, boys. I think people are going to really like this Likely signing because they're going to see Harbaugh's history in Baltimore, say that he has a long history with tight ends, but John Harbaugh has never called the plays in any of those tenures. And so I think some of that can be attributed to the offensive coordinators. I think his offensive coordinator being Matt Nagy, yes, has been attached to Travis Kelce offenses, but I would attribute a lot of that more so to Andy Reid than I would to Matt Nagy. So I don't know if like the Harbaugh feeds tight ends thing is necessarily how it should be described. So I'm thinking that Isaiah Likely is going to be somebody who is overdrafted a little bit versus the production. I honestly think that Theo Johnson can probably do what they're bringing Isaiah Likely in to do, but Joe, they said nay.
Yeah, why did they have to do this to my boy? I'm not rational about it because I am so heavily invested in Theo Johnson. To your point, I think Harbaugh's offenses, even though he has not called the plays, have often been two tight end sets, and so I think that's what they're going to do. They don't have any wide receiver talent to speak of beyond like Slayton, obviously Malik Neighbors, but like, there's no wide receiver 3 now with Wandale gone. So I kind of think Likely's the new Wandale. He's like the big slot here.
Yep.
And Theo Johnson's probably like the blocking tight end, which is
Yep.
fine. He's still going to be on the field, but I'm not super interested in either of them for fantasy in 2026. I'm not buying Likely. I'm not selling Theo because I still believe in the talent, but I don't know. It's kind of feels like it sucks.
Yeah.
Likely could easily be the number 2 target earner on this team. So I will say that. So there's probably value to be mined, but it's just too uncertain to me, especially
I
with
was gonna say
Nagy.
I think it's murky, but I can see. I don't hate Trav's take. It's not like, oh, come on, man, this is gonna be.
No,
But I
totally.
can also go the other way, that where Joe, you were starting to tiptoe a little bit and be like, well, who else is gonna get targets on this team if not Isaiah Likely? They just paid him, so money talks. And generally speaking, you pay someone to come in, they're this high profile thing. I just don't think Isaiah Likely's that good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think he's like this earth mover. So that's why I'm not like making a big bet here, verbally and saying like, no, Likely is going to be. I think there's a possibility that he's the second target earner on this team behind Malik Neighbors. I think that's actually kind of predictable at this particular juncture. Maybe Scadaboo or something. I don't,
Yeah, I know.
No, with
I know.
what we
I
know
was actually
now.
thinking Scadaboo would be the number 2 target earner on the team. Like
yeah.
I hate the who else
If
is
they
there
don't draft
argument.
Jeremiah Love, like
Yeah.
they're
Well,
stupid
that's what
enough
I
to
was
do
going to
that.
say. The draft is going to be huge for them because they have
Yes.
been linked to Love at 5, and they could also be a wide receiver spot too.
Crazy.
I mean, if they
If
take
in like a
Carnell Tate, then all of a sudden forget about Likely. But
yeah,
yeah, I hate the two. Who else is their argument?
They might
Because
take Tate.
if you're
Look. I wouldn't kill him for taking Carnell Tate. I
no,
would
that'd
kill
be
him
a
for taking
perfect
Jeremiah
compliment.
Love in their situation. It just
Yeah,
doesn't feel right.
no,
yeah,
Tate would be the perfect compliment and actually would really complete the
yeah.
picture here.
Yeah.
To just finish my point,
Wow.
and just the who else is their arguments usually end up being, oh, actually it was someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's right.
This one was interesting for fantasy purposes because it's a guy that really grew on me over the last 2 seasons. Rico Dowdle
I
signing
knew
in
you were going to say
Pittsburgh.
Rico Dowdle. Yeah.
Interesting. It's going to be, we know it's going to be a run heavy approach with Artie Smith there. Or no, it's not Artie, it's Mike McCarthy that's in there now. But he obviously brought Rico Dowdle in to do some work. He was with him in Dallas when Rico Dowdle had 1,000-yard season. So I think Rico Dowdle's coming in here to get serious work. Again,
Yeah.
residual impact was my biggest takeaway. Caleb Johnson's damn near dead, boys.
Yeah.
So Jax, take that one where you want to as far as Rico Dowdle takes and then into Caleb.
Yeah.
Feel
Yeah.
free.
I think you're right. Caleb couldn't be more dead. I mean, second year running back that's given, third on the depth chart at best sort of treatment in free agency is not good. That's not good at all. So yeah, I think Rico Dowdle and Jalen Warren will be an annoying split on a team that doesn't score a lot and is a slow paced offense. Like there's not much to like there, right? So you're going to have to, deal with Aaron Rodgers' offense potentially, like at best. At worst, it's a Will Howard off. There's just a lot of questions there, right? So we've got to see what happens in Pittsburgh. But yeah, Rico Dowdle's great. The second order effects are Jonathan Brooks is alive, Chuba Hubbard's alive. Those two things, that backfield just split itself up. So if you were holding Hubbard, Dowdle, Brooks, you felt like you had nothing. Now you feel like you have a little bit of a split here. So these backfields can do this, and it's pretty interesting how it just happens like that. So I don't know if there's anything else to be gleaned, but that's. I think Jonathan Brooks is an interesting player right now because that Carolina team feels like it's becoming frisky. I'm starting to wonder if Bryce Young can actually get to a top 15 or 20 quarterback in the NFL, which would make him borderline playoff team type of, that type of thing. If they can get there and they can, hold their own in a shit division, Jonathan Brooks comes back healthy. He's still very young. I don't know exactly what he is, probably 23. He's been gone for 2 seasons and he's 23. So I think we got a shot with Jonathan Brooks.
Probably pretty easily bought too.
Some people, some are bigger believers than others.
Truthers, yeah.
I'm not giving up on Caleb Johnson just yet. Listen, Rico Dowdle has the connection to Mike McCarthy, which is why this signing happened from their time in Dallas together. I don't know. We don't know what kind of offense they're going to run yet, but I think they were always going to bring in a running back, and Dowdle flashed last year big time. Like he had just 3 unbelievable weeks and then faded. So I don't know. I know I'm a total homer for my own picks, and I've got take lock here, but I haven't.
Yeah, this is a take lock.
Yeah, I haven't given up on Caleb Johnson.
You don't have to give up on him, but I mean, because right now buying Caleb Johnson is free 99, so you might as well. If you're not giving up, it's fine. You just put him on every single roster, and it's free to do it. So that's the thing. The advice there is and here's the thing: if you think about it, Algier, Dowdle, so many of these backs that are now like, hey, whoa, we got a guy, were very free for a long period of time, which is what we've been talking about. If you really want to go into the dynasty game theory about all this, is buy running backs. Buy running backs that you don't think. George Holani. How much were these backs if you bought Rico Dowdle, Tyler Algier, and George Holani? A third for all of them last year. Now you've got 3 starters. I mean, it's ridiculous. You could have thrown Jonathan Brooks in there too.
We were just talking about Arizona, right? The same exact thing just happened to Trey Benson that happened to Caleb Johnson. Regime change, not the people that drafted him. Bring in a running back, right? Like it's that's what's happening here, and it doesn't mean that Benson's worthless or not good. It doesn't mean that Caleb. It's alarming. Obviously, there's more competition. We're not going to be able to count on it, but as we've seen over the years, time and time again, these running backs get their shot, and it's like if they blow it when they get their shot, that's when
it's
worry.
Over.
Yeah,
it's over.
That's when it's over.
But even like a Sean Tucker, Sean Tucker, it's like they had to think about giving him $3 million. It's like, dude, are you kidding me? That this guy's
when he
good.
Got the shot. Yeah,
right, exactly. So even when they're good, you still don't know. And could Sean Tucker all of a sudden be a starter for a team in October? Yes, possible. Probable, of course not. Not likely. We're not betting on that, but you are betting on that. You're not betting on that on individual players. You're betting on that with the field. You're always trying to acquire the running backs and sell Romeo Dubs for a few running backs.
Okay, 2 more, boys. Kenneth Gainwell in Tampa.
Speaking of running backs,
the guy who Rico Dowdle quote unquote replaced is coming in to quote unquote replace one Rachaad White and is now in a backfield with Bucky Irving and Sean Tucker. Man, it feels like 3 good players here. Feels like it's going to be a bit of a scary little backfield to be a part of because we want Bucky to be the 65 to 70 in the backfield split, but I think the talent behind him might dictate otherwise. Joe, what are you feeling here?
I'll
Or
let you
Jack?
go.
Jack,
I'll let you go, Joe. But I was just gonna say these are like three backs that like I have some serious receipts of being in love with, especially Kenny Gainwell
Yeah.
and Sean Tucker. Like there was a point where I thought Sean Tucker was like the RB1 of his class, you know, when he was in college and everything. So these guys are great. Kenny Gainwell, I'm just going to say, is awesome. He's an awesome, awesome football player. I've been saying it for years. He's a little light. He doesn't profile as a lead back. He probably has been not given as many opportunities he probably deserved. But when he got them, he's fucking awesome. And I just wanted to say that. So go ahead, Joe.
In my home leagues where I took Kenny Gainwell, years ago as a rookie and was shouting from the rooftops that it was good and everybody said it was
Yes.
a dumbass, I just feel really vindicated in what
He's
we've
great.
seen from Kenny Gainwell. So you guys can suck it. I was right. I'm just never wrong. I'm just early.
Join the Colts and just go suck it, right?
Yeah, exactly. That being said, imagine Rashad White, but actually pretty good at running the ball, right? Great at receiving, but also pretty good at running the ball. That's what Kenny Gainwell is, and that equals a problem. That equals a
For
problem for
Bucky?
Bucky Irving. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like Bucky's still going to be usable, but don't expect the RB1 that we got out of his rookie season. I think he's more in the RB2 range. I think Kenny Gainwell's more in the weekly flex range, and I think Sean Tucker remains the spot starter that when you know he's going to get opportunity, just plug him into your lineup,
Yeah.
right? And it's just
Yeah.
copy the same blueprint from the last 2 years with Sean Tucker. Play that dude when he's going to be playing.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
100%. The last one, boys. Wan'Dale Robinson signs in Tennessee, 4 years and $78 million, reuniting with former head coach in New York, Daboll, who is now the OC in.
Didn't he sign like 4 or 5 dudes
Daniel
that were
Bellinger?
Yeah.
Too. I was surprised that Motor
re-signed
with the Giants. I was surprised that he didn't bring Motor over.
Right.
To
yeah. How do you not get Motor?
Dude, that was
because
the
they're
first
taking
thing
a
I
running
thought of
back
when
at
I saw
4.
Daboll hiring.
Yeah. Do you think so that's where we got to go.
Yes, yeah.
Do you think they're taking a running back? Do you think they're taking Jeremiah Love at 4?
They're taking Jeremiah Love at 4, 100%. The fact that they didn't sign Motor is the telltale sign. They brought everybody over from the Giants. You know what? Let's not touch the running back position. This guy that I clearly love and have been on record loving for years since my time in Buffalo. We're not going to bring him over, even though he's a free agent, because why? We know the answer.
It's crazy because, like, if you asked us three, like, who's the most surefire, like, good football player in the whole draft, you'd be like, Jeremiah Love.
Yeah.
Like, Jeremiah Love. Like, he's going to be awesome. But yet, still, it sounds like the dumbest idea.
Yeah, don't do that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, they should be taking a wide receiver there. But I'm glad they're not because hashtag Gunnar Helm love. That being said, yeah, I'm not like the thing about Wan'Dale is that they've got Shamir Dyke, who flashed so much last year, and it feels like they're in the same role.
Sort of. I think Dyke's an outside wide receiver, though. I think he plays more
calling him Dyke. We should start calling him his real name, DK.
No, we decided it was a decision that was made.
Yeah,
Joe, you can't just go back on a decision that we officially made on the show. Yeah. Like, that's got to be a group decision.
Ago,
and I'm
we're going to have a committee on this, Joe.
It's kind of brutal that you just tried to make that decision by yourself on air,
unilaterally.
Joe, so we'll talk about that, but that's fine.
Joe, it's Dyke. Are you afraid to say the word? Are you incapable of saying the word Dyke?
No, it's fine. Listen,
say it.
So anyways, I just feel like they had a great player in Dyke, and now they're bringing Wan'Dale in to do the same things that he's doing. And it kind of feels like what the Bills did. It's like, let's get a bunch of the same guy at wide receiver and see how that works for our offense, except for we don't have Josh Allen.
Yeah.
It's also a new regime factor too, right? And you got to think about the fact that like Daboll and that coaching staff just scouted those wide receivers, Ayamanor and Dyke, last year. And so new regime coming in, maybe they just don't have those guys in their future plans,
What about Calvin Ridley? Is he still like a thing?
Does he like exist? Like,
yeah.
Man.
So it's going to be Calvin Ridley and Wan'Dale and
I actually
Gunnar
forgot
Helm.
he was a thing.
And Jeremiah Love and Ward. That's going to be It's gonna be fucking crazy.
It's kind of a mess.
Yeah,
It
seems
doesn't seem
dysfunctional to me.
cohesive. It doesn't
Weird.
seem cohesive, and yet I'm like
It doesn't sound like a team. It's just like, oh, some dudes that
I'm
you got.
weirdly optimistic. Tony Pollard is still there.
As is Tajay. Like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Interesting.
That team is something. We'll see.
Yeah,
Train wreck coming.
tough to be a Titans fan. Tough to be a Titans.
Not as bad as a Raider fan, but tough.
I think it's better to be a Raiders fan. Like, I think
Look at
their cultural significance makes it just instantly better to be a Raiders
absolutely.
fan.
Yeah,
Like, the Titans have
you
no
can bank
culture.
those wins, the cultural significance wins.
Yeah.
Commitment to excellence, baby. Shut up, Jax.
Starter jackets. How many starter jackets you got? You can bank those.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Silver and black is timeless.
Yep.
We'll be good again sometime, hopefully, while I'm alive.
Wow. Yep.
Yeah.
I hope you're alive a long time, if I can be so honest, Joe. I love you.
And with that, don't forget to subscribe on the YouTube channel and check us out on your favorite audio platforms. We will be back next week to talk about all the wacky shenanigans that are going on in the Dynasty landscape. So for the wise man, Jax Falcone, for Joe Kuvetakis, I am Trav. We will see you next week. Peace.